got there? You got a little Diet Coke?
I got Diet A&W, no sugar, Kent. I got to get right to this. I saw earlier today, like 20 minutes ago, you were doing a live video, and I was driving home, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to crash here because there was a lot of traffic driving home. But you were talking about prop bets. Do you have prop bets for the Super Bowl that we need to jump on?
A lot of prop bets. A lot of prop
Ooh!
bets. And I listened to your guy today on 1430, and your guy was all over it. And we are in complete agreement that, look, we got no idea how many times like McCaffrey's going to carry the ball or Pacheco's going to carry the ball, who's going to score the first touchdown. But you know what? We try, and that's all we can do. How about, what do you think about McCaffrey over under 91 and a half yards rushing?
I think I said this to start. I think it was my 1430 show. I'm giving the ball to McCaffrey. Players, not plays. I'm giving him the ball either out of the backfield, throwing it to him, or I'm rushing. I'm not going under that. Let's put it that way. I like McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's going to have a ton of touches in this game. I think over is pretty good. I
I
do.
think he's going to catch the ball a bunch, but I don't think he's going to run it very well. I think it's hard
All
to
right.
run against the Chiefs.
All right. Fair enough.
How about Kelsey? Who you got scoring the first TD? I got Kelsey.
Oh man, that's good. I'm gonna go Panchero. I think they love him. You know, he runs it. They get him in. He's plus 2,500. Isaiah Panchero is for MVP. You score a couple touchdowns around the goal line, you got a shot to be MVP. I don't know. Kelsey's a great call though. Kelsey's a fantastic call for that bet.
You know, it gives CBS an opportunity to, show Taylor all over the place in a red lipstick, which can make you $10 on $100 bet. That's another prop is what color lipstick she's going to wear. I've never seen her in anything but red lipstick. So,
hey, let me ask you this.
yeah.
I was listening, my guy Jonathan made it 5.5. I was listening to Howard Stern. His guys were making it 5.5. I assume it's 5.5 somewhere. The number of times over under they show Taylor Swift during the ball game, not after, not pre, not halftime. During the game, are they going to show her 6?
Man, that'd be a lot, wouldn't
That's
it?
a
But
lot.
you know what? Super Bowls take about 4 hours. They got to
Yeah.
fill with something. And you're not just the Super Bowl is produced a little bit differently. It's not just a football broadcast, it's a culture and a social broadcast. So I think Mo is better. If I'm the executive producer of that broadcast, I've got the Bart Fox Fran Cam trained on Taylor. And if she farts funny, I'm showing it.
I agree. I agree. This is entertainment. You
Yeah.
know, people that have never watched football in their lives all of a sudden jumping in there, and she's in the middle of a concert run. I'm showing her like it's my job. Now, look, I'll take the crap from little D-bag saying that, well, it's too much. I'll take all that. I'm fine. I got big shoulders. I got a big fat head. But I'm in, man. I'm showing. You're right. If she farts, I want a microphone under her chair to hear it. You know,
That'd just be awesome. She farts and everybody in the suite backs off about 3 steps from Taylor Swift. That'd be fantastic.
oh, hey, Taylor. Do you think
Whoops. Sorry, everybody. What? Somebody step on a duck? That'd be
do
awesome.
you think Taylor Swift has anybody around her at a Super Bowl that would tell her, girl, you just shat up this place?
I'll tell you what, I guess after the Grammys, Julie was telling me that she bought everybody on her team some kind of gift. It cost 150 each of the gifts, $150,000. So if I'm on her team and if she farts or sharts, I say thank you very much. That's what. Who brought the bouquet of roses in here?
Yeah, I say that wasn't Taylor. That was me. Get mad at me.
I'll take the bullet, baby.
Who you taking in the game? I'm taking the Chiefs +2. I'll take the money line.
And in that, I do get a little bit logical. In look, if you got a team with a better quarterback and the better defense, you're crazy not to take them as an underdog. You got to bet the Chiefs.
I think Mahomes is hard to bet against. It's like
Yeah.
I had a guy on yesterday, Justin. No, who was it? He played with. Oh, today this kid was a lineman. He played with Rodgers in Green Bay, and I said, Mahomes is like Rodgers. Late in the game, they get the ball, and if you've bet against them, you know what's coming. If it's like you're waiting to die out there. You know it's coming. You know it's just a matter of when, not if. And I feel that way with Mahomes. I feel like, hey, look, he's going to beat you. It is
And
what it is, man.
that's one of the props that I really like. Even money on Mahomes over under 4.5 carries. I think he's going to run it more than 4 times. I think he's going to do whatever he has to do to go move the chains. This is the end of the season. There's no saving it for next week. I think he's going to run it a gob. I think 4.5 carries is light. I like the over on 4.5 carries.
Well, to your point, though, they don't count a sack as a carry. In college, the yards come off. In pro football, it doesn't. And I got poo pooed on this. I'm with you on Mahomes having a big day. 260 yards passing was a little bit, you used the word light. That's a good word. I'm going to go over on Mahomes throwing 260. I feel like this is one of those, I don't know, 300-yard games. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel it.
I agree, and I really like the over 47.5 because you got two really brilliant offensive minds in Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan. I think those guys going to dial up some offense, and they're going to score a bunch of points.
Hey, we hit 5,000 according to Otter Creek. Thank you.
Hey, that's fantastic.
Hey!
Thank you. You did this on your radio show today. You thanked people. We don't do that enough. Thanks to everybody for watching, and thanks to everybody for making this really fun. Because
Yeah.
it's not if it hell, we could go over to Wolfie's and drink some beers and talk about sports. This is fun because there are people out there who are commenting and enjoying this.
Yeah, and a lot of them watch us and listen to you or listen to me for years. And speaking of Wolfies, Kent, I have not had a touch of alcohol since January 4th.
Oh,
How about that?
that's fantastic.
Is it?
Well,
Is
I
it
don't know.
really?
What are you going to say? What am I going to say? That's terrible. My God, what are you doing? You got a bottle of Sleevo in there. Let's go. Belly up.
I know it's the longest I've gone. And now I'm like, well, do I get a pin? Do I get one of those? But yeah, so everybody says, "Oh, you'll feel great. Your skin will clear up." I'm like, "Well, I don't drink that much. I like beers, but I don't." But yeah, I don't feel any better. I'm not gonna lie, Ken. It's not like, oh God, I gotta do this. This is unbelievable. My ass. It's all
the,
right.
the only thing, like with me in the winter, there's just not an excuse. You know
Right.
what I mean? Or there
Right.
aren't many of them. If I'm at Wolfie's with you and E, that's fun to drink beers. But overall, like I'm not going to a concert. I'm not going to a ball game. I'm not going to sit around the house and pound beers with Julie,
No.
as enjoyable as that might be. That's not. Yeah, that just seems like a bad tomorrow without there being a great today.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I got a great today, I'll take a bad tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm not,
right.
but like living on water, it just makes you drink in the summer, the spring. Even today at 67, I looked at Lee. I go, man, I don't know. We might have to sit outside and, have a beer or two. All right, let's get to the IU game. I've been
Yeah.
saying this, and I want you to punch me in the head. I've been saying I think IU's going to play the brakes off of Purdue in the first half. I won't. I don't know the line. I haven't looked at it. But I think IU's gonna. I think IU really, truly, for the first time in a long time, I think they found something offensively. 3 out, 2 in, and I think Galloway and Leal combine to make the other guys come along. They don't want to. Renew is in the Renew. Ware's I don't know what Ware is, and Taco Bell. He's just he's got I think I saw so. I think they're going to play well against Purdue. I do. Have you
I
seen
do
the
too.
line?
I think Indiana's going to win that game in large part
Wait,
because
what?
I think Indiana's going to win. I think they'll win.
Wow.
I think it's going to be, although the Michigan Wisconsin game was in Ann Arbor, I just think that basketball's too funky a game. And if Indiana if they start Leal, if Ware plays and Ware playing against Edie, that might lift him a little bit because he's going to be in front of a lot of scouts who are going to look at him and see what he does against a guy like Edie. So I think Indiana's going to go into Mackey, say, you know what, screw this. Let's play our asses off for 40 minutes and see how this thing goes. I like Indiana in this game.
Wow. You're Mr. Happy. I like
I
being
won't be
around
tomorrow,
you.
I don't think, but I'm happy today.
Are you going to the game?
No, no,
I
no,
think.
my God. You know what? That place is fine, but Purdue fans just wear me out with this boiler up nonsense.
Oh yeah.
It's the worst chant in the history of chants in all of sports, globally. It's the worst chant of all of them. And when, I don't know if you had this experience with Andrew, but Julie and I went to a game at Mackey where Ryan was playing for Loyola, and we were right in front of the Loyola or the Purdue students, and they were not kind. And so I've held a grudge against Purdue and their fans at Mackey, specific to at Mackey, for like 15 years. I about had it with them. Julie almost went back there and started whooping ass. So I was trying to restrain Julie and keep my own head. I didn't like it. So I like Purdue. I like Matt Painter. I like the way they play. I like their fans away from Mackey Arena, but inside Mackey Arena, I can't take it.
You know what? I had one of the great experiences there when Andrew played for Ohio State. Purdue was like number 5. Andrew made 2 plays at the end of the game that helped Ohio State beat him. And there wasn't a fucking thing one Purdue fan could possibly say to me. And I didn't say nothing. I just looked around and enjoyed the environment. Ken, I got disciplined this week by one of the administrators at Purdue. I'm going to go to the game. I got 2 press passes, and a guy calls me up, really nice guy, and he goes, "Hey Dan," he goes, "I didn't want to say anything last year." He said, "But could you not drink on press row this year?" I go, "Yeah." My buddy Bill Parks and I last year we went to the game, and when we walked in, uh, Brad Miller and Cardinal and Sasha Stefanovich's dad, Louis giving me beers, and I just took him up to press row. We're just sitting there drinking beers on press row, and they're like, "You're really not supposed to do that." I go, "Okay, yeah, no problem. I'm respectful. I'm all right." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." He goes, "Yeah, we didn't want to bother you. People knew you were there. We didn't want to make a scene or anything." You should just told me. I go, "Hell, whatever." So yeah, I got disciplined, but I'm ready to go. I think Indiana's going to play. Somebody said the line was 18 and a half. I'll take 18 and a half all day. They ain't losing by 19 points. There's no chance. Zero.
I didn't see a line. I thought maybe they were holding the line until they found out whether Kalel Ware was going to be able to
What's the
play.
problem with Ware, Kent?
Huh?
What's the problem with Ware?
Oh, he in that win the other night at Ohio State, he kind
Oh,
of tweaked his knee.
yeah.
That didn't look right. That looked like a horse just out of the womb that's trying to figure out how to gallop,
Yeah.
and the knee just went one way it's not supposed to go. And man, it's so unnecessary. Like bad play.
That was
Hold
on
the
the
ball
breakout.
up, get fouled, and go to the line. Don't be nutty, right?
That was on the breakaway, right? He didn't know how to
Yeah.
pull it and run. And I tell you what's going to happen. Indiana found something. 3 out, 2 in motion. They really found it late. They got it moving. They got it cutting. And it was Leal who didn't score until the end. But the threat of him shooting a 3 and standing there, it spread things out. Now I got to tell you, on that game winner, I cannot believe Ohio State's defender on Leal. There is a rule: you don't leave the ball side corner shooter, particularly when there's a ball side postman, meaning what's his face? Galloway drove it right. I think it was either Ware or Renault was on the ball side block. So there's two defenders, one that was guarding Galloway and one that was guarding the post guy. And the ball side corner shooter guy left, and he's the only guy I was watching on the whole play. I was watching him, and I could not believe when I saw him. Like, you give up two, you get the ball, maybe you go to overtime. You give up three, you're playing from behind. I guarantee you, Chris Holtman is a great coach. He's all that, but he's killing that guy, and he should. But I think Leal gives them spacing. I think they found something with toughness. I think the combination of Leal and Galloway give a little more credence to leadership. I think the other guys, Taco Bell had to follow along, Ware had to follow along, and Renault has been playing great. So I think Indiana, look, this makes their season. They win this, they got
Yep.
a shot to make the tournament.
Yeah.
And if I'm
Yeah,
Purdue,
this is exactly the game. This
that's
is
it.
the win they've got to have on their resume. And that was the first time that shot by Leal from the corner. I'm like standing, or I jump up, or I do something idiotic like a fan guy, because that's what I am. And Julie's sitting there, and I just sat there and looked at her and went, buckets. As soon as Galloway threw it out to Leal, I was like, buckets. There was no way that kid was going to miss that shot. And it might have been the first time this year that I felt really good about an Indiana player shooting a three. There was no way that ball wasn't going in the bucket.
It's the first time in long time that I feel good about Indiana's leadership. I feel like it's always two guys here, one guy there. But I'm going to go back to what I just said. I saw this with 13 minutes to go, or whatever. Maybe it was 10 minutes, and they were down 13. I put out on Twitter, Indiana is going to get back in this game. And I'll tell you why I put that out. Indiana was getting better looks. Indiana was getting really good shots. And when I watched it, I thought to myself, you know what? You got two guys that are postmen, Renault and Ware, that were both very comfortable playing either inside or outside. And because they were comfortable, the defense respected the outside, and the one-on-one defense against Renault or against Ware was non-existent. And I'm looking at Purdue, and I'm saying, wait a second here. Indiana is one of the few teams in the country that both big guys can get 20. They both can
Yeah.
get 20. Now, Purdue can't. Ren Kaufman or Kaufman Ren, whatever his name is, he ain't. Now, the combination of Gillis maybe hitting a couple threes and Ren Kaufman maybe gets you 15. But I'm telling you, and again, who knows? Indiana's been such a mess. But that was a real win. They didn't hit 9 threes in a row. The way they played the second half, particularly on the offensive end, was real. And it was the first time in I don't even know how long that I actually bought into the leadership of IU's team. And what a perfect time to now play Purdue. You wish it was at home, easier
Yeah.
at home, percentage wise. But what a perfect time to try to save your season coming off that particular game. Now, Indiana couldn't handle jack shit winning against Iowa, which is ridiculous. I mean, who gives a damn? You beat Iowa at home.
Right.
But they couldn't handle it. They laid an egg against Penn State. If you can't handle beating Ohio State and come back against playing Purdue, can everybody just turn in their uniforms to Rusty and get the hell out of Indiana? Let's go.
I think that the crowd being hostile could lift Indiana. If you go in, like, you go into a place, you go into Penn State. I don't know what Penn State's like, but it seems to be a pretty, like an okay environment. You go into Penn State, it's like, we're going to Penn State. You go to Purdue and you go to Mackey, you know what you're going to face. You're going to have a hostile crowd. You're going to have a really well-coached team. You're going to know going in that if you don't compete with focus for 40 minutes, you got no chance whatsoever in this game. So I think that puts Indiana in kind of a position of peril, that I think that they're talented enough to win this game. I think they've just got to find 2 hours where they're motivated enough to kind of subvert their individual goals and get after it as a unit. And I think that they did that against Ohio State and Columbus.
100%. Last 10 minutes, they absolutely
Yeah.
did. First time. This is the first time that I've seen it. And I meant it. By the way, Albanian YouTube, thank you for joining us. Dave Carroll, Grass Monkey, thank you. Nick Snyder says Purdue by 28. Look, that may happen. Now that may happen. I don't know, but I'm not buying that. I'll take 28, and it'll make it a house bet. I'll make it a I'll make it a house bet. We'll bet the house. I tell you, the guy, and everybody knows this. This isn't like I'm giving you a sneaker pick, but one of the areas where Matt Painter has been really good, and I think we talked about this on this show. I don't know. You do so many shows. I do so many shows. You can't remember sometimes. But evaluate
True.
over recruiting. Like Matt
Yeah.
Painter evaluated Lance Jones really wisely. Lance Jones, there's like three guys playing really well from Southern Illinois, and Lance Jones playing at Purdue. Man, he evaluated not only the kid's character, the kid's toughness to be able to play. There's a difference between playing night after night in the Big Ten in those arenas and playing at Southern Illinois. I mean, the Missouri Valley is great, but there's just a difference. There's a difference playing under the pressure of, Big Ten game, 5 minutes to go, you're up five, 5 minutes to go, you're up two, that kind of thing. And Lance Jones has answered every single question. That dude makes shots. That dude sets up his teammates. That dude competes. And I got to tell you, man, what he did, Painter, that ain't easy. That evaluation, that is not an easy thing because the guys used to playing at some like in the MAC can't guy used to transfer from Ohio State or a Big Ten program. And everybody said, oh man, he's going to be great. Never, not one time. Hell, Sean Stonebrook led the Big Ten in rebounding. He transferred to Ohio University. He was just okay. It's a hard thing to evaluate coming
Yeah.
up or down levels. And you got to give Matt and his staff credit for that kid because that kid probably, I don't know if he's produced second best player, fourth best, but he's as valuable as anybody not named Edie, in my opinion.
How about that? If you remove Lawyer from the equation, who is ranked in the 130s, you got nobody that starts for Purdue who is ranked in the top 200. Lance Jones wasn't ranked at all. His rankings from high school, not available. Zach Edey, not available. Braden Smith in the 230s, Mason Gillis like 203. Matt Painter is going out and evaluating guys not because some guy who's looking at people is throwing stars at a guy's name, because he feels like they fit and he feels like he can get the best out of them. I think it's awesome. I think it's the best story, the best recruiting story in college basketball.
Matt, the best guy that I saw at doing that was John Beeline. John Beeline found guys, Duncan Robinson, even Glenn Robinson Jr. when he signed at Michigan wasn't that highly rated, and then he became. I think John Beeline was kind of the master of it. But you're absolutely right. If somebody were going to say who's the master now, man, Matt Painter. You look at Purdue's guys and you say, well, how did they know? Well, I'm going to tell you how they knew. They worked at it. They
Yeah.
studied. And one of the things you have to know is your own team. Self evaluation is so important. You got to know what my group, this group, and the groups change. What's this group all about? Then you got to put people in that fit this group. Like, as an example, the group with Vince Edwards and Matthias and Carson Edwards and those guys and Klein, that's a different group than this particular group. So a guy that may fit with this particular group may not, and you got to know that. You got to know your team. And I don't think anybody knows his team more. I don't think more than Matt Painter. He knows what he's got. It's fascinating. It is.
And one guy that Beeline took that was just blew my mind was Stuart Douglas out of Carmel, where I was like, what? Stuart Douglas signed with Michigan. Stuart Douglas kicked ass and took names in Ann Arbor for 4 years and played, I don't know if he's still playing, but played professional basketball overseas for a long ass time and was really good. But Painter's a guy, and this I think is unique to him. There are probably other guys that are like that, but he isn't trying to prove his worth as a recruiter by showing people stars.
Right.
You know what I mean? He is secure in his own skin as a coach. And I think that's step one to being a really good coach.
Well, I agree with that. And that's one of the things that I remember Brad Stevens and I talking about that. He said, I don't, even concern myself because if a guy signs with Duke or Carolina, they immediately become 4 or 5 stars. They
Yeah.
immediately bump up. So why would I concern myself like with that? I mean, if they go to Butler, they ain't moving up. But if they go to Duke or North Carolina, you're talking about a 3-star guy that all of a sudden's a 5-star guy because Slapdick Johnny doesn't want to be the guy that doesn't have so and so as a 5-star player. And Brad was pretty good at evaluating, a lot like what we're talking about with Matt, and a lot like we're talking about with Beeline. I feel like Indiana. I don't think Indiana does it for the stars. I feel like Indiana does it because well, just I think Indiana does it regardless of fit. Like I don't think they self-evaluate.
Right.
I don't. I don't think that they evaluate and understand their team and where the fit is on our team. I think we're gathering. We're hunting and we're gathering talent, which you know what? Hey, it can work out. I'm not saying it's not going to work. It will work out fine. And maybe it will by the end of this year. I don't know. But there's a big difference there in how they go about the business of recruiting. Where are you at, by the way?
I mean, we've got it's like a home theater room in our house,
I like the
and
I thought maybe you were at Vito Ragucci's bar and you got Sinatra and other people on the walls. Yeah.
the great Gina Lee Nolan, the great Isaiah Thomas,
Oh,
Larry Bird. Those are foursome at the Pacers golf outing. I cropped everyone out like it's me and Bird out on the course together.
just having a
So
game. Wings. That's all.
that's it.
I disagree. I don't think Woody's lazy in recruiting at all. I mean, Heath Hare saying that. Snyder says, "You guys remember what happened last year? We beat you at home and at Mackey. Get ready for a game tomorrow. Go Hoosiers." Yeah, I think people like. I think if the Ohio State game had continued and you couple that with the Penn State game, I think Indiana fans would be like, "I ain't even watching on Saturday. I ain't even watching."
Yeah.
But that 10-minute stretch, the comeback. Now people are excited, and I'm glad. It should be fun. That's the way I look at it. I don't know.
You know, the thing that I really liked about watching Brad Stevens and Dane Fife both recruit is that they weren't talking to people. They sat alone in gyms at summer events and they watched.
Yeah.
And they were laser focused on the games. And I think for a lot of the guys who recruit, maybe it's changed over the years. This goes back to like, oh 04, oh 05, oh 06 when Dane was in Fort Wayne and when Brad was at Butler as an assistant for Licklider. But those guys watched, other guys came in and schmoozed. There was a lot of schmoozing going on at these events. Those guys worked them. And because they worked them, like Dane got a kid like Ben Botts, and Brad got a kid like Matt Howard. And Ben helped Dane win at Fort Wayne. And Matt, my God, I mean, where would Brad be without Matt Howard? He sure as hell wouldn't be the general manager of the Boston Celtics.
Right. There's different times. Sometimes in recruiting, you go to an event, you're just there to babysit, so you may talk more. Other times, you go to an event and teams are starting out, and you want to see and you really want to evaluate. But you know what? The difference between evaluating and recruiting is stark. Let me go. Let me go across the Big Ten. It was 10 minutes ago, Kent. Wisconsin was playing for first place.
Yeah.
Like, and Wisconsin is like the most stable program other than Purdue in the league. And next thing you know, Wisconsin took a big fat dump in the middle of Ann Arbor and then slid across the floor on the feces. I didn't see, can't I didn't see it.
It's really, really hard, isn't it? You know better than me. Over the course of a 4 month season, you're going to have peaks and you're going to
Oh,
have valleys. And I think Wisconsin just had a big valley.
yeah, I mean that was a good win by Purdue going in there and getting it done. And then last night I'm watching Iowa, and Iowa's down 7. They go on this stupid run. They get up 7. They look like world beaters, and Penn State ends up beating them in the last 8 minutes by 18 points and wins by like 11. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I think the Big Ten is not nearly as good in terms of personnel as the Big Ten has had before, but the games are fun. The games
Yeah.
are fascinating. That's kind of cool.
And there's no turd in a punch bowl, right? There's nowhere that you go in the Big Ten where you're like, well, this is going to be a piece of cake. Minnesota can beat you, at least at Williams. Nebraska is really good at home. Illinois is pretty damn good. Wisconsin, Purdue, Michigan State's capable of playing well, but they're kind of weird. Ohio State, yee, yee, yee. Let me know what do you think of Holtman in this way? Like I think Holtman was really good at being the coach at a place like Butler, where you go out and you know what the Butler way is and you recruit to the Butler way, but you go to Ohio State and you've got the resources to be able to go out and get more talented guys. So you do, but they don't wind up kind of coalescing and coming together the way that they could at Butler. I don't know whether it's as much fun to coach at Ohio State as it is at Butler.
Well, I know this. It's fun when you win, and I know that the first year there when they went 15-3, it was fun for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that.
Becomes like a curse because people look back on it and go, well, you won with that players. One of the things that you get, and we're going back to recruiting when you're excuse me, when you're at Ohio State, is people pay more attention to stars. People pay more
Yeah.
attention to the big time guy. People like, Mike Woodson, even though Indiana has struggled, Mike Woodson gets a little bit of a pass because people feel like he's gone out and gotten really good players. Now he gets hurt because none of those players are from Indiana. But at Ohio State, that was always the knock on Thad. Thad didn't go out and get, whomever you want, whatever the great, after Odin and Conley and those guys. To me personally, when I watched Ohio State, and I did not know this, I'm not pretending to foul. Apparently, that's their MO. Apparently, they'll play the brakes off you, and then in the last few minutes or last 10 minutes or 5 minutes, they just fold up shop. I thought Ohio State looked timid. Chris actually was texting with me after the game or the day after and said the same thing. We got timid. We got uptight at the wrong time. And then, when you come back from 17 or 18 and you get relaxed, you get playing, you just get balling, all the pressure's off, and Indiana was able to maintain it. But apparently, you know what? That's the Ohio State way with this particular group. And it sucks for the coach because you're good enough, you're just not tough enough, or you're not whatever enough. And man, Kent, that shit'll make you drink.
Is that hard? I'm guessing it is because who does it and who does it well? To take a team who's like up 18 and get them at a TV timeout and say, "Look, we got to get this thing up to
Oh,
25. We
yeah.
got to push this to 30. Let's go."
I used to show up other games. Like whenever somebody had a game like that, I would show a play with, and there's a bunch in the Indiana game, but with about, I don't, whatever the play was, 10 minutes to go, up 13, a guy maybe had a 3-on-2 fast break and he got lazy. How the game changed. I would show players this, even though it wasn't us, just randomly, and say, look, this is the play that changed the game. You don't pay attention because no announcer is going to tell you, but this play changed it. Now, look what happened from this point on. It wouldn't bore them by showing the whole thing. They would know the outcome. And I remember I was talking about this one time on my show when I was working for you at Emmis, and Bill Polian actually called in. He goes, Dan, you're so right. That play changed the Colts game. There are just some games when that happens, it's like, golly, if you just stayed with your fundamentals or your scouting report or your sensibility, they would have never gotten back into the game.
Yeah.
But it happens so, and particularly, it's that same old thing, the 3-point line, the 30 shot clock. Because there was a time when you're up 13, if you had a decent team that could handle the ball, you may be reeling. So you just put it in the four corners or you put it in the delay game for a minute and a half. And now you've really shortened and you've really given a very, very small margin for error for a team to come back on you. Obviously, you can't do that now. So that has changed. But yeah, Kent, man, it is not the play at the end that gets you. I guarantee you, I wasn't paying that close attention, but I guarantee you there was a play when Indiana was down between 13 and 18 that could have taken that thing and made it 22, didn't. And next thing you know, you got a serious effing problem. Serious. Can't we had a game
It's
time? Swear to God, this is where coaches are. We were 26th in the country at Bowling Green. We were good.
yeah.
We were the first team, others receiving votes. We go play Buffalo, the worst team in the world. We're up 28 at the TV timeout with 8 minutes to go. 8 minutes to go on the road, no crowd, up 28. With 30 seconds to go, we had to make 2 free throws to make it a 4-point game, and we won the game. I mean, it was like, geez, I'm calling timeout. You just, that's why when the crowd cheers for that walk on, I'm like, yeah, walk on this. It doesn't have to happen very many times before you like, walk this. You know. So, all right, let's recap. We don't have to be on here much longer. Let's recap. You like who in the Super Bowl, and what's your favorite prop bet?
Chiefs, and then Mahomes with more than 4.5 carries. He's going to run the ball more than 4.5 times. How about you?
I like the Chiefs. I'm going to go Mahomes over 260 yards passing, and I'm going to throw a little sugar on that Isaiah or Isaac, whatever his name, Panchero, to be the MVP at plus $2,500. Because if he can, they like giving him the ball around the goal line. You score a couple touchdowns, maybe, just maybe, they don't give the MVP to Mahomes.
You're kind of betting against yourself, right?
No,
Sort of. I guess Mahomes could go over 260 and not be the MVP, but it's not likely.
no, you're right. But I just feel like, you know what? They give the guy the ball. And yeah, you're probably right. I probably am betting against myself. And I really don't like to do that. But I'm gonna. Because if
Hey,
Darrow is the MVP, that trumps every other bet that I made at plus 2,200 or 2,500. You like Indiana to win. If you're
I
Indiana
do.
starting Leo.
Yes. Indiana's got to start. If Indiana doesn't start Leal, then I think Woodson has just lost his mind. You got to have people on the floor who understand how to play winning basketball and are smart guys. And the way the statistical manifestation of that to me is Leal's rebounds.
Right.
He goes and gets rebounds. He had 7 against Iowa. I think he had 5 against Ohio State. He knows where the ball's going, and he goes and gets it. And that's a winning basketball play.
I agree, and he'll fight the post when they think they're taking him down. He's a big, strong kid.
Yep.
I don't know what the advantage, even a little bit, in starting Cups would be. Like I can usually give you the other side of it, but you're in a hostile crowd. You're trying to save your season. This guy has played better. Number one, this guy's a veteran, so he's been, he hadn't played a lot, but he's been in this arena. Number two, you can't give me an advantage to starting Cups other than keep Leal out of foul trouble. I don't know. Hell, I don't know.
I also think it's really important with Leal that and like that play where he hit it from the corner, he brought it up and he's getting guys in position.
Right.
He's put you go and you got to do that with Renew and Mbako or Taco Bell and where you have to position those guys and have them in the right spots for you to do what you want to do. And Cups doesn't do that, or at least they don't listen to him. They listen to Leal. I think Leal is kind of that guy who gets them together.
I think and he's got a partner in Galloway or
Yep.
Galloway partner in Leal, which is so freaking. I'm not going to say Indiana's going to win, but I'll tell you this: if it's 18 and a half, I'm betting everything that's currently in this house except for my wife, and I'll take it. I ain't spending. I'm not betting Lee, but I'll bet my shoes, and I'll bet what book do I have? Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules of Life. I'll bet all this shit. Grisham novels. I'll bet it. So there you
Hey,
go.
I want to go backwards just for a second of that game, the Bowling Green Buffalo game where you're up 28 with 10 left, and it winds up being a one possession game. Whatever happened to your suit coat that you had that game? I know damn well you didn't leave the arena with it. That thing had to be like in the 12th
Oh,
row.
I would put it on, I would take it off, anything. Like, I'll never forget. Like, I'm sitting there going, how can I change this momentum? I'm drinking water. No, don't drink water. Like, I'm doing everything. I mean, it got to the point, and we had a pro. We had McLeod was an NBA guy. Brandon Parton, a great guy. We couldn't get the ball past half court. And I'm sitting there going, Jesus. And then Brandon hit 2 free throws, and we finally won. And I remember, usually, you kind of act pissed. I walked in the locker room. I said, fellas, we got a long ass ride ahead. I'm just glad you won, so I don't have to commit suicide tonight.
Oh, that's beautiful. Have fun tomorrow night up at Mackey.
All right, brother. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.
See ya.
See you, Kent.